Hi again, everyone. Georgia and Tennessee coming up this week, and we're going to take a look at that game with our two bestest buddies, DJ Shockley and Eric Zier. You can hear these two gentlemen on the Bulldogs Sports Network every Saturday, Georgia football. So we hope you tune in for that. Georgia and Tennessee will play at 3:30 Saturday afternoon, and our coverage starts at 11:30 a.m. Saturday morning. And boy, we always look forward to going to Knoxville, Tennessee, and seeing what Tennessee has to offer. Georgia's had the edge in the series recently, but guys, all of a sudden, here's Georgia at number one in the country and 9-0, and trying to close out an undefeated SEC schedule, and Tennessee coming in at 5-4 off a big win over Kentucky, and a lot of folks are riding high on Tennessee. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'll jump in and start. I think because offensively, they have most definitely turned the corner. I think you look at this Tennessee football team right now, and you'd have to put them up as maybe the most improved team in the SEC from start of the year to right now. Coach Heupel has done a great job with the program. He's got the offense operating at an extremely high pace. They are playing very efficiently. You go back over the past 3 or 4 games, that they're as explosive of an offense right now as you're probably going to see in the SEC, and they are playing better football than they've played on Rocky Top in a long time.
And I think it really comes down to the fact that not many people had high expectations coming into this season. You think about some of the guys that left this program and went to other programs. I mean, Tua is one of the top linebackers. He left and went to Alabama. The running back left and went to Oklahoma. I mean, there's so many dudes who were participants on this team last year that were major factors were now gone. So I think coming into the season, everybody expected this to be a major rebuilding year. And to get the 5 wins, I think people are extremely optimistic because it did happen. But similar to what Z mentioned, when you turn on the film or you turn on the highlights and you see Tennessee, busting out for big plays and scoring 45 points the last couple of weeks, it's kind of something that people are taking notice of. And I think just the expectation wasn't there. And that's why I think a lot of people have taken a little heed of what Tennessee has done, and it's kind of put them on the radar of a lot of people.
I look at what Tennessee is doing, and then I look at what Georgia is doing, and the Bulldogs are dominating defensively, and playing pretty well offensively. I mean, scoring mid 30s a game, mid to upper 30s a game, more than efficient to go with that defense. But I look at Tennessee, and they're scoring a lot of points, but they're giving up a lot of points too. Is that going to be the difference in the ball game? How the two teams play defense? Do you think?
I think it will. I mean, I think our offense has started, and like Z said, with Tennessee turned the corner, I think our offense has turned the corner as far as being more balanced. I know there are times where you want to be able to run the football more, but I think Stetson has grown into a passer that you feel good about, especially in crunch situations. And the explosive plays that we've had the last couple of weeks has really opened the eyes, I think, of a lot of different teams to see what Georgia can actually do throwing the ball down the field. Georgia's always been known to run the football. We always had backs, big physical offensive linemen, but now you add that to a more balanced attack that makes Georgia offensively even more dangerous. So I like the fact that we have become one of those type of teams where you can't key in on one simple thing when it comes to our offense, and the fact that we got a quarterback that has taken the next step as far as his progression, not just as a player, but inside his offense, is fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree, Shock. And listen, our offense right now is underappreciated because our defense is playing so well and at such an elite level. But offensively, there are some things that maybe you can go nitpick, but I think we've done a great job. I think Coach Monken has done a great job of really not being forced into any identity this year. He takes what defenses are giving him. If defensive looks demand that we run the football, we are running the football efficiently. If defensive looks, you could just go back to last week where Missouri was loading the box, a lot of linebacker blitzes to stop the run. All of a sudden now we're throwing the football down the field vertically. And then go back to the Arkansas game where they were playing a cloud look, daring us to run the football. We go do that. We are taking what the defense gives us at a very efficient rate right now. And for Tennessee to win this football game, they have to play defense. I mean, when you are just an offensive powerhouse and playing very well on that side of the football, you can go beat teams that are a little bit below you in terms of talent, or maybe right there with you, you can outpace them for sure. You're not going to be able to do that against this Georgia football team. Georgia has got a challenge on its hands right now. I think this offense is as hot as any we've seen coming into this game. So I think it is going to be a test for our defense. But to think that you can get into that kind of shootout with Georgia because of this defense, that is a tough hill to climb. So yeah, if Tennessee wants to be in this game, they've got to play better defense than what they've shown.
Why do you guys think that no one has been able to expose Georgia's defense to this point? I mean, it's been complete domination when you're giving up, less than 7 points a game. We're 9 games into the year, and there hasn't been an outlier. I mean, it's not like you've got, 7 games of allowing 6 points a game, and then 1 game when we gave up 20. That hasn't happened. Is it merely a talent thing, or is it a schematic thing? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a little bit of all of those things. I do think it is talent. I think it is the depth that we have as well. There are no holes. One of the things that Georgia is doing this year, we don't have to go in and make a lot of adjustments to get the matchups that we want. We can stay. Listen, we're not vanilla by any stretch of the imagination, but we don't have to go move people around to ensure that their best athlete, we are getting our best athlete on. Our guys know exactly what needs to be done. It allows us within that simplicity to get pretty complex with the different blitz looks that we get or that we give. It's a little bit of everything. It is the talent, it's the physical nature in which we play, it's our speed, it's the depth we have, it's the schemes that we implement. All of those things you just can't replicate in practice. And listen, Georgia's defense is going to have a little bit of that against Tennessee. They are going so up tempo right now that's hard to replicate as well. So we're going to get a little taste of our own medicine. But this Georgia defense, it's hard to prepare for. And you try to find weaknesses. It's why we see trick play after trick play early in football games where people are just desperate to go get any kind of yardage against this defense because there's no weakness to attack.
To kind of expound on what Z just mentioned, he is totally spot on with everything he mentioned. And the one thing I'll say because I have a unique opportunity to be down there around these guys in the locker room before, during halftime and stuff like that. The one thing that I notice is they don't want to let the guy in front of them, behind them, to the left or right of them. They don't want to let those guys down. And they play a little bit harder. There's no ego within none of these guys. And nobody wants to be the guy that messed up. Nobody wants to be the guy that gave up a touchdown, or don't want to be the guy that was out of position. That's the reason why, we gave up points. I mean, you talk about last week at the end of the ball game, there was no reason for excitement when they're on the 1 yard line and you stop them like that and you're up by 30 and you don't want those guys to get in the end zone. That's how they feel about every single play, is they don't want them to have anything. So it's fun to watch these guys have that kind of camaraderie together. They're going to need it this week. Z just mentioned that up-tempo, fast-paced offense that they run. I just, when I started prepping for this game, I went back and looked at last week's performance, and their offense had 13 minutes of time of possession. 13 minutes in the entire ball game. And Kentucky had 46. And that tells you just how fast they go, how explosive they can be, and how it doesn't take but 1 or 2 plays for them to do it. And they want to catch these guys kind of flat-footed. They want to catch guys looking to the sideline. So that's going to be a big deal this weekend, is alignment and assignment. Make sure you're aligned. Make sure you know where you're supposed to be, because they're going to go fast and they're trying to catch you out of position. And I think that goes straight to what Z talked about, is with these trick plays, is people try to confuse you and trick you and try to find a way to get to this defense. Well, here's another way. It's not quote unquote a trick play, but going super fast is a way to try to keep Georgia off balance a little bit and try to catch them 1 or 2 times slipping, one guy not doing your job, and then you come up with a big play.
Yeah, Tennessee in the first quarter last week had the ball for less than a minute, but they had 2 long touchdowns. They had 2 70-plus yard scores, and it was like they had 14 points after the first quarter in less than a minute in time of possession. Shock, I wanted to ask you about last week. We saw both quarterbacks. Stetson Bennett started against Missouri, and then we finally saw JT Daniels come into games for the first time since September against Vanderbilt. What was the reaction like on the sidelines? You're down there, you talk with these guys over the course of the game. What were your thoughts on their communication and how you observe things with both of those guys playing?
There's always good energy with both those guys. I think the good thing about it is the players around them understand how hard they work. They understand that both these guys are capable of getting the job done. And I think it's become one of those things they expect Stetson to make plays in a ball game. And then when JT came in, I think it was the same kind of mantra. Everybody was waiting to see, okay, is JT back? Is he still the same guy that we saw when he started, at the beginning of the year? And I think everybody was still up, kind of watching, trying to see what was going to happen, see what kind of plays he was going to make. I know the interest level for when JT came in the ball game was heightened just a little bit more. I think the team understands and knows who Stetson Bennett is, and I think they're okay with the guy that he is. But they also were still intrigued about, okay, JT's finally back into some live game action. Let's see what he does. And I was glad to see him get out there. And I mentioned this on the broadcast. One thing that you notice on every offensive possession, because I usually stand down next to Buster and I stand next to him and ask him, what's going on, what's happening. And the one guy who's always right there is JT. And he's always asking. You can see him going through the motions of, you got one high, you got two high. Okay, we get this safety down. And he's talking through it. So he's mentally going through it every single play. He's not checked out at all. And he's into it, he's engaged. And there was a couple plays during the week last week where I can literally see him talking to Stetson while they're waiting on the play to come in. And Stetson was like, hold his fingers up, like, was it two? And he was like, no, it was one. And he was, showing the invert. So this is the kind of stuff that's happening in game. And you love that both those guys are still connected. They're still trying to help each other out. But most importantly, JT, the guy who was the guy, is still trying to help, Stetson while he's in the game.
Hey, Z, can we finally just accept this situation for what it is, or is the quarterback thing still a big deal? Who's going to play? Who's going to start? Or is it just it's kind of what it is? We've got two guys that can play the position, and they both can play.
I think it kind of is what it is right now. And we've all heard that if you have two quarterbacks, then you really don't have a quarterback. Well, that's
I hated that. I hated
that. I know you did. I know you did. That wasn't the case, Shock, when you were playing, and it's not the case. It's not the case now either. And Shock, you touched on why it's not. This team has confidence in both men to lead this program, and both of those guys have great care for one another. And I think what epitomizes that is when you saw JT Daniels come back and throw his touchdown pass. The camera panned over to Stetson, and he gave a fist pump as if he was the one that threw it. They are communicating. They care for one another. They have eliminated the controversy and the drama. Those two guys have, and the team has confidence in both. We're going to need both quarterbacks to be able to carry us to where this team ultimately wants to go. I'm not sure how that's going to look or how that's going to play out, but both of these guys will more than likely be involved at some point in time. And right now, because of the way they've handled the situation, it really makes any drama or controversy that the fan base or we may want to put into it, it makes it a moot point because they've handled it so well and the team has confidence in both of them.
Last thing for you guys today, Georgia and Tennessee. It's always a big SEC East rival game. Does anybody have a divided house, Georgia and Tennessee, personally?
Listen, there are some unique things that go on in the Zaire household with my wife being a graduate of Tennessee, that I'm not going to share. We have to hold it very close to the vest, but it's a tension-filled week in the Zaire household.
You live in separate ends of the house this week.
I have to live outside is really what it is. So I don't live in the house this week. Julie and the kids are in there. I lose my kids for a week. It's year after year. It's a problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
Guys, always great to visit with you. Excellent stuff. Look forward to Saturday and working with you in Knoxville, and Georgia and Tennessee. We'll kick it off at 3:39, I think is the official kick time at Neyland Stadium. Again, our broadcast starts at 11:30 a.m. with Kevin Butler and Jeff Dantzler and our Dog Talk pregame show. Get you all juiced up and ready to go for the tailgate, and then right up to kickoff in Knoxville for the Bulldogs and the Volunteers. So for DJ Shockley and Eric Zier, I'm Scott Howard. Hope to see you on Saturday. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.